think I've got the hang of this now. What's
bad.
next?
Next is oakum picking.
What's that?
Over here.
What's oakum, Des, and how do you pick it?
Well, to start with, you've got a bit of rope or cable that you then have to break up right the way down. This is a piece of rope, and you're breaking it down into the strands.
Yeah.
And then having got the strand, you break it right down into the yarn, and then you've got to break that yarn down into the actual fibres of the hemp. And
So what's the oakum?
the oakum is the raw fibre. It's sort of the unmaking of the old rope.
And what's the point of it? What happens to this?
Because then it goes back to the shipyards and to the vessels where it's rolled together to form a thin sausage that is then banged into the joints in the planking to stop it leaking.
Who are the people who did this?
Well, able-bodied inmates in the workhouse that have been given this job to do, but their fingers just used to bleed at the end of a couple of hours of doing this.
When you first start doing this, it seems pretty easy. It's money for old rope. But the more that you have to get your fingers into these tiny, clagged-up little threads, the harder it gets, and it cuts in to your fingers and your thumbs. And a bit like that, which looks like you could do in no time at all, by the time you've pulled it out into its constituent parts, there's just loads and loads and loads of it. And if you'd have been having to produce pounds of this stuff a day, you'd have had to be going for hour after hour. I suppose the thing about this job is that if you were in a workhouse, you had to do it.
Yes, you did. Yes, you had to do whatever jobs they gave you. You had no choice in the matter.
So in a way, however awful some of the other jobs were, at least it was your choice. But here they took away your dignity.
They did indeed, yeah. And some of the jobs that they had to do were so bad, like this. This was given to workhouse inmates to do, but they didn't necessarily give it to prisoners in countries' jails to do.
You're not picking very fast.
I was thinking.
No room for thinking. You don't come to the workhouse to think, you come to the workhouse to
work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't try this at home. What I'm actually doing is collecting the raw materials for what's probably the worst job I'll ever have to do. This isn't just the worst job of the Victorian era, this must be the worst job of all time. Oh, it's foul. So far, I've tried cleaning out steam engines. That was pretty disgusting. Wow! The job of the navvy was hard, dangerous work. Oh, my legs come off the duckboard. Oops. And the scavenging jobs really were horrible, though at least they kept you out of the workhouse. But there's one worse job that's head and shoulders worse than any other job in Victorian times. A job so bad that if you wanted to do it, you had to live and work apart from everyone else in the village. The job of being a tanner. And I don't mean working in a beauty salon. If scraping the raw flesh off dead animals, then soaking them in pools of water and dog faeces appeals, then this is the job for you. Every little town in Victorian Britain had its own tannery. Leather was an enormously important part of everyday life. This tannery is the last in the country to make leather in the same way as the Victorians. First, you need a dead cow. To turn it into tooled leather, the work is heavy and smelly, really smelly. What do we call this place?
This is the lime yard.
And what happens here?
Well, this is the first process. Once the hides have come into us, we are dehairing the hides here.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've mixed up water and hydrated lime. And that lime is going to loosen the hair by the roots. And also it'll swell the fat on the inside so that it's easy to cut off. So when they've been in there a fortnight, we pull them out and they're ready for dehairing and fleshing.
How do I get it out?
Right. Pick up the crook there.
Yeah.
And if you put it right into the belly part of the hide, which is out as far as you can go, that's about right.
Yeah. All right.
Right, yes.
It's a bit of a smell, isn't it? Cool. It's like gone off gravy.
Possibly, but you'll get used to it.
Cool. It's heavy too, isn't it?
It is heavy.
So what do we do now, Andrew?
Well, this has got to go up over the beam now.
So we've got to get this onto that.
That's right. It's a nice, big, heavy hide.
It's pretty heavy. How much does it weigh?
It's 100 kilos.
Well, you've got plastic gloves on.
And tights.
I haven't.
That's all right, won't do you any harm.
Oh, it's all skidding under my fingers.
Here, if you get that corner there, Roger, we pull it up.
Oh, look, it's all bits of hair coming away in your hands all the time.
OK.
So now we have to get the hair off?
Yes, now you have to work it down with the dehairing tool.
It's all yours.
Thank you. Oh, it comes away lovely, doesn't it?
Not too bad at all, is it?
You know, I think I'm even getting used to the smell now.
You will get used to it after a while.
Do you even notice it?
I don't, but my wife do when I get home night times.
I'm surprised, mate. I'm surprised she's still there. How many of these would they have been doing a day, Andrew?
Well, it depends. A good man would do 15 to 20.
So this was pretty heavy work, wasn't it?
Yes, I mean, this is the heaviest work that there was in the lime yard. It was always the least popular job, lime yard work.
Funny that. How's that looking, Andrew?
Now, let's have a look, see how you're getting on. Yep, you're leaving a few short hairs here. You've got to get all these hairs out, as I say, because once it goes into the tan yard, the hair won't come out.
This was a bit gross, but the swollen, fatty bit on the inside took us into a whole new league. And I'm talking Premier, not Nationwide Conference.
You want to keep the blade flat to the hide, because it's on an angle anyway.
The blade gets clogged up with the fat, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just keep clearing it off all the time.
It's fairly sharp, mine, so watch your fingers. Take it. All right, let's have.
You're welcome. It's hard to keep the blade in your hands because it's so wet and sticky down here that it keeps trying to run away from you, doesn't it? Poor. The old smell's coming up again now, isn't it? Dear, oh dear. Oh, it's this fatty bit that's so horrible.
Your hands will stink after this.
Yeah. Oh, God! Oh, poor. Yeah, take over for a bit while I go and die in a corner. Whew. But so far, we haven't seen any dog poo, have we?
You haven't yet, no. What happens is, when the hide's been cleaned up, so it's been fleshed and dehaired, it's then ready for deliming or baiting, as they used to say in the old days. Now, the baiting was a mixture of dog dung and chicken dung in a pit with water and then warmed up. And you used to get the bacteria from the dung. You used to work on the hide, or the fibres of the hide, and soften it. And the idea was you only had to put it in for a short time, but the old boys used to keep it for weeks, because the older it was, the more bacteria there was in there.
So you'd get this smell, which is pretty difficult to work in, and then in addition to that, there'd be this kind of chicken and dog poo gravy that they heated up.
Yes, well, particularly in thundery weather, it used to work on its own, particularly if you'd kept it for any length of time, then the whole village used to smell it.
She's a long-suffering woman, your wife.
She must be, that's right.
I've done some fairly foul jobs during the course of this